greasy blobs on my face.
You cleaned them all up? Gosh, I mean, what a spot you got out here, huh?
It's pretty funny, isn't it? It's like when I call guys and order parts.
You don't even have a sign.
There's usually birds chirping and stuff like that.
I know.
And then, all of a sudden there'll be this silence and they'll go, "Where are you?"
But you don't. Is there a reason why you don't have a sign?
Well, but they probably wouldn't let me have one, and besides which, I haven't needed it.
You haven't needed it.
Everybody seems to find the place.
They find it anyway, yeah. What is that? What year is that Triumph?
That's a 59 TR3A.
And you just got it?
Yeah.
An old Nantucketer?
Yeah, Gordon Gallagher. He bought it new in 1959.
Oh my God.
I know.
And this is your house here?
No.
Oh, you don't even live here?
No, I live over near you.
How does this work then?
I lease the shop. I have been running this shop. I bought the business from a man named Tony Benjamin in 1976. October of 1976. I'm coming up on 40 years. Gosh, kind of scary. But I worked for him for a couple of years before that. Yeah. It's amazing, isn't it?
What's the name of your business?
It's now called Classic Motor Service.
Yep.
And I used to call myself Foreign Affairs because after I took over from Tony, no one was working on foreign cars here. No one would even talk to you about one.
Right.
It's sort of by default, that's what I ended up working on. And it was Foreign Affairs until 2 years ago when I kind of had my fill of computer-driven cars and technology run amok.
Is that? It's just you just don't. Are you getting out of the business?
I'm out of the business of working on cars with things like check engine lights and
you are
ABS lights. And all I do now. That's why I changed the name of it to Classic Motor Services because all I'm doing now are antiques and classic cars.
And you got enough business?
Plenty.
Still.
Plenty. Wow. And I'm getting old enough and grumpy enough that I should only have to work on what I like.
Well, exactly, and also if you look at the value of those cars today, I mean, look what an investment. Even my little Chevy Nova was that I paid $2,500 for.
Oh yeah.
In the '90s. I mean, the car's worth over $10,000 as it sits.
Oh yeah, you bet. And what's funny is these young guys that are coming out of trade school don't even know anything about those cars. They know nothing about.
Is that true?
It's the God's honest truth. I interviewed a young kid. He was 23, and he came down from outside of Taunton somewhere, and he had graduated from Universal Technical Institute. I called his counselor and how were his grades and how was his attendance, and she gave him a glowing report, and he came down here. I said, well, all right, and I rented him a room for a few days so we'd work together and see if we could get along.
Yeah.
And the first thing I had him do, I had an old Volkswagen van in the shop. So I gave him a set of points, and I said, here, put those in that Volkswagen, and when it gets time to set the gap, I'll get with you. But I didn't want to hover over and make him nervous, so I gave him these points. And I walked away, and I turned around and looked at him, and he's going... he's looking at these points. And so I turned around, and I said, you don't know what those are, do you? He said, no. I said, do you know what they're called? He said, I think they're called points. I said, yeah.
So, but you'll stay here. Are you sticking around Nantucket? I mean, it's changed so much since the 70s, hasn't it?
Been here since 1972.
I got here in '86.
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
I know.
That was a really nice habitat across the street from your house when you moved here.
We'll drive by it. You can give me your point of view on that.
Oh man. So
you don't like, Chris? You don't like what's the growth and the speed in which we're growing?
No, I'm fed up. But every time you go away and you go somewhere else, and you come back, you go, well, it's a strip mall malls, and well, at least not yet.
Right.
There are a couple of things that you might be able to call strip malls, and I don't know what's going to happen when some of the stuff they have planned for Old South Road comes to fruition. Man, that's
wow.
Yeah.
But if you're a young guy and you know how to fix cars, I'm not saying that
I have a job for you.
Yeah, right. You'd have a job. I mean, there's no trouble with having a job here.
No.
The problem is just paying for the mortgage that you hope to get into at some point.
That's
right
sure.
now. It's impossible for. I mean, affordable housing for $80,000 income. I mean, not everybody makes $80,000 a year.
I know it's crazy.
When are we going to smarten up and go? Okay, we got people working for $10, $15, $20 an hour. There's a lot of those people here, and they're stuck in basements, in corners.
Oh yeah.
And if you can even find them to work in your shop.
I looked at a few of those places when I was trying to find a place for this kid that I was interviewing to stay should he get the job. And I went to 2 or 3 places, one of which belonged to a town official, shall we say.
Okay.
And I looked at it and went, ooh, yeah.
Really, isn't it?
Yeah.
So where are you from originally?
Indianapolis, Indiana.
Now, your brother's out here too.
Yeah, he came out here. I came out in April of '72. He came out that winter, so that would have been the winter of '71, to help Tom David, whom he knew from college. Tom was building his first house, so Phil was in communication with him. Tom said, "Hey, come on out and help me build my house."
Interesting. And your brother does real estate, does he? Or?
Now he does, yeah.
Now he does, yeah. And is it just the two of you out here?
Well, actually, Phil just recently moved to the Cape. He and Susan, his wife, sold their house.
That's amazing, really?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
And that happened in late April. I think they
how's he liking
moved.
it? What's he saying?
He's enthusiastic. I guess he kind of has to be, but because he's there now.
Yeah.
But they moved to Yarmouthport, in a little old house right on 6A, and I've been over to visit him a couple times. I haven't been over there on a summer weekend, mind you, to see what the traffic is like there in front of his house. But
right. As far as I know that you had mentioned something to me about, we're going to take a look at this right now.
Oh, the place at the top of Main Street.
Yeah. You loved that old house, didn't you, when it was a...
It was great. It was just like, oh boy, we're going to Grandpa's for the summer to the family manse. It was this beautiful old open-studded, like, summer house.
It's how this got through that they were able to
that density.
So let's look at it. There it is.
I don't want to look at it.
All right. But just so people see it.
Yeah.
So that's a garage, you know that. And on the other side of that is a pool. Okay, there's 3 swimming pools here, They took one piece of property and they're going to put 3 swimming pools.
So what are they? They're condoing this? Is that the deal?
I don't know what that is. I know it's a garage.
Yeah. The people are going to have to shinny between the buildings. They're so close.
Well, if you go downtown, it's that kind of density.
Well, I guess it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway.
In those terms, I suppose you're right. But that's not in keeping with the character of Upper Main Street. I could see it on Gardner Street, but... man, I don't know.
You got to keep aware of everything that's going on in this town right now because the boom is just...
You know something? I just went through a complete nightmare on my own road because a developer put in a private sewer.
Right, I heard about that.
And it's tiny, and I know it's not going to... It's a 2-inch sewer, and they expect everyone on the road to hook up to it. In fact, they sent out mandatory connection notices.
You have to...
And when, I forget I think it's 37 houses right now.
Wow, look at the traffic.
37, I usually go that way.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing.
And go down to Pleasant and across.
So, yeah.
And you just have to say, how can they think that a 2-inch pipe is going to accommodate 37, for now 37. There's still several buildable lots, and if everybody was to max out their property capabilities, you know, second dwellings and what have you, covenant houses, whatever,
Sure.
they would all have to hook up to that 2-inch pipe. There's no way.
So, what did that end up costing you? Or
It will. We, a fellow resident on the road, and I went to all of the sewer information meetings, all of the selectmen's meetings. You know, the Civic League gave a couple of quote-unquote information meetings. They were really just sales jobs. The bottom line was all we were able to extract from the town was a 2-year extension on the mandatory hookup.
Oh, I see.
Because a lot of people on the road have practically new septic systems to the tune of anywhere from $30,000 to $50,000.
Oh my God!
And so, you know, they expect people to not only throw that away, but to hook up to the sewer and then remove it. You can't just leave the thing in the ground. So, you know, the 2-inch pipe is what they call a pressure line, which requires pressure pumps. Pressure pumps cost a lot of money, somewhere around $10,000. You have to have grinder pumps to liquefy everything, so pressure pumps can pump it.
Yep.
You know, it probably adds 20 in the 20s to the cost of the hookup. Whereas if the town had sewered it, instead of this private developer, they would have put in probably a 4-inch, what they call a gravity line, to which all we would have to do is run a pipe.
Well, that's what they're planning to do.
Not on our road.
How did that, just quickly, how did that get through?
Well, that's a good question. There were no notices sent to anyone in the neighborhood. The only notice we got was something from the engineer who said the road will be closed next week for between daylight hours, no traffic in or out.
Right.
Well, of course, people flipped out about that.
Well, anyway, the theater.
The theater.
Do you still do it?
Well, I haven't done anything in a while. The last thing that I did was a little thing called All in the Timing. It was a series of one-act. They were anywhere from 12 minutes to 25 minutes long, and that was the last thing I did. I only have time to do that in the off season. And
do you normally work with the theater workshop?
I had been, yeah.
Yeah. Because, I mean, you go way back to doing plays, right? I mean, how did you get involved?
1974.
So, when you came out here?
Well, I came out here in 72, but in fact, I did the last play that was in the Straight Wharf Theater before it caught fire. Yeah. The theater workshop isn't as much of a community theater like it used to be.
No.
It used to really be all community members,
right?
That were in the company, and that's who put on the plays. And I think a combination of a couple of things, just change in attitudes.
Boy, is theater growing here?
Yeah,
huh?
Yeah, no kidding. Wow. Change in attitudes, change in people's workloads. Now it's such a struggle to get by that the sort of people that were inclined to do theater are now having to work 2 jobs to working for me.
I'm going to take you to lunch at one of my favorite restaurants.
Mine too.
I know. I
eat here almost every day. In fact,
do you?
We probably know most of these cars.
Absolutely.
There's Patrick's car.
Yep.